Mishnah and Pirkei Avos, Perek Hey, Mishnah Yud, according to most versions. So the Mishnah says that there's 4 types of people. First person says what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours. So the Mishnah has a dispute. Is that person viewed as a bad person? According to the first opinion, he's okay. According to the second opinion, no, this is considered wrong. So the way the Maharahl understands the first opinion would sound like what you would hear from, the original Americans, that they wrote the Constitution, the whole concept of having private property rights, and when a person has his own property, he feels more like a mensch, and it's a good thing. In other words, being, shall we say, owning your own thing, that it's mine and not yours, is not necessarily a bad thing. So when a person says what's mine is mine, what's yours is yours, he's not out to say that I don't want to give to you. He's out to set boundaries. What's mine is mine, what's yours is yours. It's not like one big happy family. Let's all be Hamish. They say that Hamish is behamish. So what's mine is mine. Not that I'm not going to help you out if you need help, but in order for me to be as if you want my house to look nice, if you want me to mow my lawn, if you want me to build a nice fence and to fix my chimney, so I need to be the owner of the property. It's my house. You want to come and help? Second opinion says no. Saying it's my house and not yours, is schmeckt. And I don't know, if you get too into the fact that it's mine and not yours, then who knows if the other person needs help? Are you going to let him into your house? It's like the famous story of there was once a wealthy chassid of the Alter Rebbe. I forget his name. I want to say that his name is the Lincoln. Okay. And he was a very, very wealthy chassid. So there was once a chassid that came into his house, and he came in with his muddy boots, and he trampled all over his bedroom, and this was like a fancy mansion, and the chassid got upset. And I think the story goes that he then asked for him to forgive him, and he said he's only going to forgive him if he dances around the town on a broom. Okay, could be I'm messing up the story, but anyways, yeah, if is it really the other? Are you really going to be open to share with the other person? So that's, the back and forth. The socialists, they want that it should all be one happy family, and we should all share, and what's mine is mine, and what's yours is yours, and the other approach is that no, that we have to have. So that's an old debate. So the Rebbe Rashab talks about this Mishnah in Ayin Beis on page 487, Tov Pei Zayin, and just in parentheses, many people are learning Ayin Beis this year. The Ramarim that were said in it was 100 years ago. Now we're in Tov Shin Ayin Beis, and that was 1912. So interestingly, Ayin Beis was printed for the first time in 1977, and even though it was said 1912, it was printed in 1977. And when the Rebbe talked about printing Ayin Beis, he says that it was these Mamorim were such great lofty concepts that he's not very comfortable printing them, and therefore he wanted that it should be printed on, not, it shouldn't be sponsored by one specific person. And that year, actually, Tafshin Lamed Ches, a few months later, after it was printed for the first time, the Rebbe had his heart attack. And the second time that it was printed was the year that Rebbe had his first stroke in 1992. So that I've heard people talk about. But it's interesting to note that the third time it was printed was in 2001, which was the year that the World Trade Center in New York was knocked down by terrorists. And it was again recently printed for the fourth time this year. So over there, he talks about giving. He says he gives another interpretation into the two opinions. It's a little nuanced, so I'm not going to get into it, but you can look over there. And he says that giving, he talks about the two levels, the two spiritual bechinas of Tayu and Tikkun. Tayu is Tayu came before Tikkun. Tayu was the little things were confused, things were not settled. Tikkun was when things were, we're now, for the last, since the beginning of creation, we're now Tikkun. We're fixing the world. We're trying to rectify all that happened when the chaos evolved into the breaking of the vessel. So we're now putting everything back together. We're fixing Humpty Dumpty back up again. So Tayu, there was Tayu, there was the chaos, and then the vessels couldn't handle it, and they broke, and now our job is to do the tikkun, to fix everything. So, to rectify the mess. So it's known that Tayu, why in Tayu why was it so chaotic? Because each level was, so to speak, two into themselves. Each level worked as its own unit, and they didn't work together. And being that each level worked on its own, it didn't work together, therefore there was chaos, and therefore ultimately there was the explosion, the Shviras HaKelim. Tikkun, everything works together. We try to connect all the levels, and each level gives to the other level. So in Tikkun, each level is given to the other level. And the Rebbe Rashab says, which this can possibly give us a little bit of a new understanding. When we say that we have to be giving to another person, that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to ignore our own. In other words, giving is really giving. When you give, you also get. And if a teacher doesn't give, if a person has knowledge and he doesn't give it, he loses his knowledge. So ultimately, giving is also for the benefit of the giver and for the receiver. And the teacher learns most from his students.